If you're watching this video, it's probably because of one of two scenarios. Number one, you're dealing with an asshole in your life. Or number two, you have been called an asshole by someone in your life and you're trying to figure out if you want to deal with that. Speaking for myself, I have both been and been beset by assholes in my life, and I've learned to deal with them in different ways, as well as to stop the asshole behavior that I have shown in the past. Now, honestly, this is a pretty interesting topic for me to discuss because typically I focus on personal development or self-actualization, trying to become a better person in the world. But just recently I have had some experiences where I've been dealing with someone who's been an asshole in my life, and it made me think about this topic and how sometimes in life, no matter what we try to do, we have to deal with people who aren't very nice, who are jerks, who are mean, who are disrespectful, who are assholes. Or at times in our life, we're tempted to act like an asshole to try and get our way. So I want to share some ideas of ways that I have learned to move past situations with people who are acting like an asshole, and also how to stop being one myself at certain times in my life. So let's start by getting a good definition of what it means to be an asshole. Now, you probably dealt with someone in your life who is this type of person, so you probably know firsthand what it feels like. And if you go to Urban Dictionary, there are some excellent definitions there that I think you'll relate to. But for our purposes, I want to define being an asshole as someone who is disrespectful, someone who doesn't treat you kindly, who is rude, who pushes their agenda and tries to get their way without considering your feelings or your situation. Very often in our lives, we look at people who are our bosses or our superior or our authority figures in our lives as assholes, purely because they have the power to get us to do and to think and to say things in a certain way, even though we don't really want to. They have the power and they don't really have to be nice about it when they're getting us to do certain things. This is a good example of someone who can be disrespectful and yet we have to tolerate them in our lives. Very often this is the most frustrating thing that we have to handle in our lives, and personally for myself, I've spent many years really struggling with how to deal with people who are being assholes, and also at certain times in my life how to overcome the tendency or the urge to be an asshole myself. Now, the truth is that sometimes in life, being an asshole works. There are certain people out there who make a lot of money, who have a lot of success, who are able to get their way in life by treating people disrespectfully and being mean and rude and cruel. However, if you look closely at their lives, you'll probably find that they're actually not living their best life and they're not very happy deep down. Sure, on the surface, it might seem like they have everything together, but at the same time, over the long term, they're not really winning in life. They're not living a fulfilling life. They don't have great connections and friendships with people. But in the short term, being an asshole actually does work because you get to push your agenda. You get to be mean and try and get your way with people. And very often, because most people are actually nice and courteous and friendly, they will be pushed around by someone who isn't nice and courteous and friendly, and they will give in to their whims or their wills or their rudeness in the short term. But again, even though being an asshole can work in your life at certain times, it doesn't work over the long term. This is a lesson I had to learn personally, because when I was a young man, especially in my early 20s, I had a tendency to be a very angry person. I was quite aggressive, I could be belligerent, I could be abusive, especially if I didn't get my own way in the world. And unfortunately, I would often get my way in a situation where I shouldn't have, but people would just accept it and tolerate my asshole behavior. As I got a little bit older, I realized that I didn't have a lot of close friends. I didn't have a great life because I was using this asshole behavior, this aggressiveness and this rudeness to get ahead rather than actually doing it in the right ways that build connection and to create long-term success. So that's an important lesson to know up front. While being an asshole can help you in the short term, it actually starts to damage your life and your happiness and fulfillment over the long term. So I would strongly encourage, if you are tending to use asshole behavior in your life to be disrespectful to people, consider long term what that's doing to you. So let's talk about what I call the asshole antidote. This is the technique that I have learned that helps you to overcome other people's behavior when they're being rude or belligerent or disrespectful to you, and you're tired of it. You don't want to actually deal with it anymore in your life. And it might surprise you what I'm going to tell you, but I believe the asshole antidote is to be kind. Now, in the situation that you're in right now, especially with the person you're dealing with, you might think the last thing that you want to do is to be kind to someone. But I promise you that there is great power in giving kindness out to other people. Even if the person you're dealing with is rude or disrespectful to you, if you choose to fall into their trap and behave in the same way back to them, they have won. They have controlled your behavior. However, if you keep your calm, you keep your cool, and you choose to be kind and respectful back to them, over the long term, things will work out in your favor. It doesn't mean in the short term that you may get them to change. Maybe they'll never change as a person, but you can walk away from the situation knowing that you did the right thing, that your behavior was in check, and you chose to be kind in the moment and over the long term. So as much as you may not want to hear it, I believe that the antidote to dealing with someone who is an asshole is to simply be kind to them, be respectful, be the thing that they're not being to you, and you will find, especially the people around you will notice, and they will start to respect you and to have trust with you while they don't respect and trust the person who's being an asshole. The next thing that's important to understand is that avoiding assholes is the best revenge. Now, very often there is a tendency in our life to be stuck around people who are mean or disrespectful or rude. Maybe it's a boss, maybe it's someone in our personal life, like a family member, whatever it is. We have to deal with people who aren't the nicest people. And the challenge is if we just spend all of our time around them, they kind of get the upper hand over us. And what I've learned is that with people like that, the best thing that you can do is to get away from them. Rather than try to change them, lecture them, try to teach them a lesson, just get away from them. Make a plan to move on in your life, to move away from those people and to start to grow and to be around people who actually treat you with respect, treat you the same way that you want to be treated, and that you treat other people. By doing this, you actually disempower people who are being assholes because you leave them alone in their life, and over time they realize that they don't have a lot of people around them anymore because they treated people so poorly that they don't have a lot of friendships and connection. So I would suggest, rather than trying to fight fire with fire, trying to get into disagreements or trying to get revenge on someone who's been mean or cruel to you, is to simply make a plan to get away from them. Figure out the way that you can live your life not being around that asshole person. Now, this might mean changing jobs or changing careers. It might mean moving out of a situation around your family. It might mean unfriending or getting away from someone in your life who isn't actually treating you well. The sooner you do that, the sooner you will bring your power back to you and you'll remove that negative influence in your life. And trust me, avoiding assholes is the best revenge. The last thing I want to talk about in this video is the reality of being an asshole. The truth is that being an asshole is kind of like having a cheat code in life. If you've ever played a video game when you were younger and you discovered a cheat code which gave you more health or more money or more power, you discovered that, wow, I can kind of cheat my way to winning in this game. Well, people who are assholes in life are kind of doing the same thing. Because most of us are kind and courteous people, they've realized that if they're just rude and mean and obnoxious and pushy, they actually get their way quite quickly up front. But at the same time, this is kind of like a cheat code in life, and it doesn't last very long. If you've ever cheated in a video game, you probably realize that it's not very fulfilling. You don't get a lot out of it by just cheating your way to the final boss and then winning. You actually feel unfulfilled and empty. Well, I promise you, people who are assholes, who treat people poorly in life, they are using a cheat code in their life, and over time they will come up short. People won't respect them as much, their relationships break down, they'll have a lot of struggles and challenges in their life that you won't have because you're a kind, courteous person. I wanted to share that idea as a final thought because even though we have to deal with assholes in life, realize that they're not getting ahead. Over the short term, it appears like they are, but over the long term, they're actually losing out. And those of us who are kind and respectful to others actually slowly advance in life. Time is a great equalizer, my friend, and even though you might be dealing with someone in your life who is an asshole, or maybe you've fallen into asshole behavior yourself, believe me that over time, things work out. Those who are cruel and mean and disrespectful to others don't live a great life. And those who are kind and respectful and courteous to others slowly start to live a very fulfilling life and get everything that they want. Hopefully this video and these ideas have been insightful for you. I know this is a very interesting topic to discuss, and I'm sure all of you will have some comments to share below. So please do leave a comment and share your experience either overcoming being an asshole or dealing with someone who's an asshole in your life. If you like this video, please leave a like. And if you like what we're doing on this channel, please consider subscribing. We'd love to have you with us. My name is Daniel Midson-Short. Thanks for watching. And as always, thank you for improving yourself.